declaring, "I am awake." Defining enlightenment, large and small. We suggest that there is a spectrum of enlightenment, ranging from little e to big E experiences. But what exactly is enlightenment? Perhaps the easiest way to define the little e experience is in the term itself: to shed light on our ignorance and bring ourselves out from the dark. The partial insights and epiphanies we have change our beliefs in small ways, often preparing us for the rarer big E experience, where our entire worldview and values are radically transformed. Thus, for many philosophers and spiritual leaders, enlightenment is perceived as the highest experience an individual can attain. Enlightenment also seems to be a universal phenomenon, with exemplars found in many cultures around the world. Our research shows that when people have sudden spiritual or mystical experiences, they often describe a state of consciousness where everything feels deeply interconnected. These can be powerful, but for most people, they are brief. The big enlightenment is typically associated with a permanent shift of perception, awareness, and knowledge. For some, the separation between God and one's self completely dissolves. For others, they feel a sense of absolute oneness with life, nature, or the universe. And for nearly everyone, the experience often feels more real than anything else in the world. Truth has been discovered, God has been touched, and insight has been gained. Are these little e or big E experiences? From a scientific perspective, we cannot say, because it is the individual's subjective assessment or the opinion of others that dictate what size of enlightenment has taken place. In fact, when it comes to spiritual enlightenment, there will always be naysayers who will accuse the enlightened person of being delusional. Perhaps that explains why so many Orthodox religions have persecuted those mystics who claimed to see a deeper or larger truth. But the term still causes confusion. For example, Westerners often associate big E enlightenment exclusively with Eastern religions, not realizing that there are powerful Jewish, Christian, and Muslim meditations that can profoundly deepen one's connection to God. Non-religious people may also shy away from the term, not realizing that enlightenment can be a secular experience, one that gave birth to the Western democracies of the world. And of course, there are many people who believe that enlightenment is nothing more than a fantasy or delusion. Because there is so much cultural and societal confusion concerning this nebulous term, I'd like to briefly describe some of the historical highlights. Eastern mystical enlightenment. Many Eastern philosophies define enlightenment as the highest level of consciousness a person can attain. In Hinduism, consciousness itself is seen as the essence from which the universe emerged, and enlightenment means that you have become one with this fundamental reality. In Taoism, you achieve enlightenment by being in harmony with the principles of nature, with the flow of life. In such Eastern cultures, the language of enlightenment is often put into poetry or phrased in paradoxical ways because it is so difficult to describe with words. For example, the Taoist sage Lao Tzu wrote, "Try to change something and you will ruin it. Try to hold on to something and you will lose it." In Chinese and Tibetan Buddhism, enlightenment is more personal, brought about through a process of continual self-reflection. In the Japanese Zen Buddhist tradition, students reach enlightenment only when they realize the radical truth that everything is an illusion of the mind. Such an understanding is often accomplished by focusing on Zen koans, paradoxical stories or statements, which are used to interrupt the student's normal way of thinking. A person, for example, might be confronted by questions like these: "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" Or, "What is your original face?" Any logical answer could bring a blow from the master's stick. Over the centuries, many of the Eastern Enlightenment philosophies became watered down and turned into folk religions filled with deity worship and tribal beliefs.